the first piece of equipment, you want to guess what it was?
A cup.
It's a very good guess.
Hey, I'm Jay from Richland Source, and we are here with Noah Jones and Jim Stoner for Noah on the Road. And we are in a 2018 Ford Edge SEL with navigation, leather appointments, and all the goodies for only $19.95 due at signing and $540 a month. You can lease this for 36 months and have 15,000 miles a year.
Welcome back to another edition of Noah on the Road, brought to you by Donley Auto Group. Today we are going back in time in Shelby to talk about Charles Wallace and all of the spectacular football knowledge that Jim Stoner knows about because of his play, the Black Cyclone. How are you doing today, Jim?
Doing great, Noah. Thanks. It looks like a fun day.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, and I am really excited to get to talk to you about your play. Could we just start off with a little bit of facts about the Black Cyclone? Tell us a little bit about Charles Wallace.
Well, it's really important that people understand that everything happens for a reason, and Charles Wallace, it turns out, was the reason that a very famous athlete got signed to a professional baseball team. And that's essentially where we're going to end up. But where we can start is Charles Wallace grew up in Worcester and started and captained the high school football team in Worcester in 1898 as a young black star athlete.
And this happened all in the very early 1900s, so that's sort of atypical for an African American at that time, correct?
Absolutely. Ohio was still living in the shadow of the Civil War, and even though Ohio was a northern state, it wasn't kind to black folks, and they really had to struggle up here. And Charles Wallace was able to overcome all that.
So talk to us a little bit about him, because I'm under the impression that he was sort of a major bridge for African Americans in football.
Absolutely. He was the first black professional that was ever offered a contract to play football. If we stop right here, we're going to see where it all happened.
Okay.
If you look off to your right, this was the old Shelby football field.
Okay.
And the Shelby Blues would slug it out with opposing teams right where that church sits.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
And it was nothing more than a cow pasture.
And the place that Jim's referring to is at the corner of Mack Avenue and Jefferson Avenue, right off Highway 39, coming into Shelby.
So talk to us, Jim, about what made you want to write a play about him.
In 1995, I came to Shelby, Ohio, to be the Chamber of Commerce president.
Okay.
And I got to learn a lot of very unique and fascinating things about Shelby's manufacturing history. And I thought, what better place to start than in the Shelby Museum? And I was walking through the Shelby Museum of History and saw this photograph of a young black man seated in the front of a football team holding the championship football, and a white man standing next to him in his dapper bowler and overcoat with his hand on Charles's shoulder in a very protective way. I said, there's got to be a story here. What's going on? And Sally Mayer, the curator of the museum, said, well, that's the first black professional football player in America. I thought, this is going to make a great play.
Right.
And I sat on that and sort of mulled it over in my brain for about 15 years. And ultimately, in 2013, my wife, Amy K. Stoner, looks at me and says, Jim, if you don't write the story about the Black Cyclone, I'll never let you mention his name to another person.
It's been fairly well received. I understand that there's one of the best players in football for Ohio State history, Archie Griffin, is a pretty big fan. Talk to me a little bit about the response that the play was received.
The play is really received with a lot of enthusiasm by the folks that see it.
Mm-hmm.
We're still building our audiences. We did great at Malabar Farm because we were doing great runs of theater out there for a few years. Then we've taken it to Columbus with Archie Griffin's help. He's seen the show twice.
Okay.
And God bless him, sat through the whole thing both times. And once it was pretty chilly in the barn at Malabar. But he helped sponsor it and support it and produce it in Columbus.
How helpful is that probably easily one of the greatest football players in Ohio State history has been a big sponsor of a football play?
It's opened an awful lot of doors.
Talk to us a little bit about Branch Rickey.
Branch Rickey was from Portsmouth. Branch stayed in Shelby for a few years, and I think was sort of softening the beach, if I can use an analogy from back in the day. And he would relate Charles to the other players, and they could overcome the racism. Later on, you'll recognize the name Branch Rickey.
Right.
Because he, as the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers, started looking for someone that reminded him of his friend Charles Wallace. He said, it's time we integrated. It's time we signed one.
Right.
Lou, his manager Lou DeRocher, he said, go sign this guy, Jackie Robinson.
Thanks for watching Noah on the Road this month. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys are going to go and check out the Black Cyclone. It's a very important piece of Richland County history, and I think it's very important that we're all aware of the Black Cyclone story. You can check out future dates and upcoming shows on theblackcyclone.org, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.